All right, guys, we are live. This is the Shillan and Duffy preview show for UFC Seattle. You heard that right. This is the live preview show, not the edited ones that people are used to. I am your host. My name is Keith Shillan. If this is your first time watching this, watching these type previews, usually there's two of us, as obviously there's a Duffy to the Shillan and Duffy show. I was going to do the show edited, but I said, let's do it live. And we need some co-hosts. So I got everybody in the chat. Hopefully we get to a lot of people here. Hopefully we get the chat jump in, because doing a preview show by myself is a little tough talking. My favorite part of doing preview shows is actually not talking about the fight. Sometimes it's the back and forth between me and Ben. I do have to address the rumors going on between me and Ben. Yeah, it's true. We are continuing to fight. Our friendship is over. I think I'm like planning to sneak up on him outside a steakhouse in Miami and give him a nice shot. But he's been doing jiu-jitsu, so I better hit him and be ready to run, because he's training over there with Alex Moreno and those team. Obviously, I'm joking, but yeah, Ben does all the. If you watch the show a lot, Ben does all the editing stuff. I have some editing skills, not enough to do the preview show. So I said, let's just do what I always do. We'll do it live. But because of that, I need people talking to the chat, give me their predictions, some of what they think about the fights. It'd be a lot better that way, going back and forth, than me just staring at a screen and talking. And it's kind of weird when you're doing it by yourself. You're just staring. Like, I can see myself and like as I talk. Some housekeeping notes. It is still like really crappy weather here in New England right now. It's raining pretty hard, so hopefully my Wi-Fi and everything holds up. I think it will, but just if it happens, I apologize. The other thing is, guys, I'm not going to do this like Ben normally does. Ben is really good at introducing the fighters, saying their records and kind of what they've done. I'm not going to do that. I will do the odds. I will look at the odds as I preview the fight. I don't know what the odds are. If you ever watch the show, I don't. I'm not a big betting guy, so this is not a betting show. We don't give you, this guy's negative 300, definitely hit that, or we want to parlay this. Like we don't do that here. I don't even look at the odds, because I try not to. Sometimes if you look at the odds and you're on the fence with a fight, you might lean one way or the other because of the odds. Like, Vegas says this guy's a negative 200 favorite. What am I missing? And you go with that. I'm not going to do that. So I'll be looking at the odds live. The odds I'll be using, I'm just pulling straight off of bestfightodds.com. So, but some of the things, so I won't be doing the intros. And also another reason to make it a little shorter, it's gonna be a little harder to do the show by myself, just staring at a screen. But also a bigger reason is it gives me more time to talk about Bo Nickel. So I know that's what people want. So let's get right into it. We got 12 fights. This was, they're going into Seattle. I would say that this was a really strong card ahead of time. Like, I probably would have gave it an A+. They lost some pretty big names. The first, Dominic Cruz, unfortunately got injured, had to actually end up retiring, calling it Cray. He's supposed to fight Rob Font. They got a really good replacement last minute, probably even a better fight. But name-wise, Dominic Cruz, the biggest name in the card. Barbosa Garcia was a fight I think a lot of people was looking forward to. That fell apart. They pulled Curtis Blades' fight from this card. Vieira Macy Asan fell apart. So all these things fell apart. I had it like an A+ before. Now I think it's still a B. I mean, it's still some pretty good people. So let's get right into it. We'll start with the first fight. I'm going to go off of Sherdog. I apologize ahead of time if the order is wrong. That's what Sherdog has posted right now. So the first fight, as I scroll through my notes, and again, I apologize. Usually Ben has this already teed up for me, so he does all the hard part, and then I kind of just have it nice and easy. But the first fight is. And again, another thing I will apologize at a time is pronunciation. Ben is really good at that, and a lot of times I just try to copy what he says. I'm not the best at it, but we'll probably have the hardest fight to pronounce right off the bat. Modestus Bukauskas taking on Rafael Squeira. We'll get. I did do tape studies on these guys. It's I need to start like putting in like how you pronounce next to it. Like people were putting in the chat last night about when I was calling it Portabands instead of Porsche Bands. So well, I see I'm messing up my Portuguese. So let's get into it. Let's go with the big guys. Start off right away. Bukauskas, he's a bit of an outfighter. He likes to fight at both stances. He's pretty elusive. He uses movement to kind of keep his distance. He wants to keep his distance, and he hates being pressured. Though to his credit, he can strike while backing up. It's actually one of the probably the most impressive thing about him. He can be really low output at times. I always go back to that Tyson Pedro fight where simply he wasn't throwing enough despite being a way more skilled fighter. Almost lost because of it. He's a counter striker. He's got pretty fast hands. He throws straight shots down the pipe. He does hit hard. We saw that in his last fight. He'll throw out some spinning attacks, which I'm not the craziest about. Big kicking game. Nice calf kicks. He isn't a very good offensive wrestler, and he's I'd say his defensive wrestling is pretty good, and if you take him down, he's hard to hold down. But when you try to take him down, he loves doing like the Travis Brown dropping elbows. We saw that in his UFC debut. He was dropping down with elbows. He's I wouldn't say he's an offensive wrestler, but he did get some takedowns against Marcin Prokno. Despite getting a submission against Marcin Prokno, the sub was there for a really long time, and he didn't take it. Cardio has also been inconsistent at times. I got to worry about his chin a little bit as Vitor Petrino rocked him. Move to Rafael. I mean, before he came in the UFC, you look at his record, guys he fought. I mean, nothing but really low level, like fighting guys that working at 7-Eleven, on the regional scene. I'd say he's a pretty decent athlete. He has like Taekwondo style. He's a southpaw. He has, I'd say plus power. He's got a big kicking game. He blasts low kicks, hard body kicks. He likes to wrestle, but he's not very good at it. He does have a few subs though if he can get to the ground. Let's get to the odds. Again, I said I do this kind of live. Let's see. I'm sorry for there might be some. So, oh wow, Bukauskas is a pretty big favorite. He's -310 with Rafael Squeira coming back at plus 250. I didn't expect him to be that big of a favorite. This is not going to work. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to be able to keep doing multiple screens because every time I do it, it knocks off where my notes were. So, how about I do this? How about I give my prediction and then I'll see how it lines up with the. I can't go back and forth. I can, but I can't go back and forth like. I'm scrolling down my notes as I'm going, and then if I click back, it shoots my notes to the top of the screen for some reason because I'm not that techie. But so where was I? I gotta find. I apologize again, guys. Some of this has to do with my lack of sleep. I've really haven't had a lot of sleep lately. I got called in twice last week. For people, if people don't know, I'm a detective, and I got called in twice last week. And what happens if I get lack of sleep? It just messes up my schedule for the whole week. And then I swear my brain when I go to bed, suddenly thinks it's Marab, and it's got to go around a million circles. I'm up at 1 o'clock in the morning thinking about. The other day I was up at 1 o'clock in the morning thinking about what if the NFL rearranged the divisions, and I was mapping out who would be in what division if it was actually geographical, like the Patriots, Bills, Jets, and then have the Giants instead. But anyways, I'm not very high on either guy. Bukauskas, he's like a D level fighter, but I'd say Squeira is probably like an F level fighter. I say Bukauskas lands a lot of kicks. I think he lands the better striking and better punches. And I'm gonna say Bukauskas, he showed some power in his last fight. I'm gonna say he catches Squeira. I say he does in the first round. Give me Bukauskas by first round TKO. Let's see what we have. Bob Simpson's saying to come on the show. Sorry, dude. Garrett Clemens, bro. I'm always working. Nice. So let's get to the next fight. The next fight we have, again, this is gonna be really bad. Me scrolling back and forth. The next fight, and then the notes is not because of all the fights that fell out. My notes isn't close to. Usually, I try to like go by Sherdog and put them in order, but as the fights have been pulled and everything, when they're all over the place. So let's see. The next fight is. Oh my lord. Mansur Abdul Malik taking on newcomer Nick Klein. Abdul Malik, he's a really big fighter for the weight class. He can fight out of both stances. He's very aggressive on the feet. I wouldn't say he's very technical. He's still pretty raw. He's wild. He does a lot of big winging shots. He does have great power due to his athleticism. He throws a lot of kicks. He hates being pressured back, though. He's a good wrestler, former college wrestler. He likes body lock takedowns. He has some of the scariest ground and pound that I've seen. I mean, he go back to his last fight against Todorovic. I mean, he smashed Todorovic with ground and pound. Though he has gassed out in the past, that's a little concerning. Move over to newcomer Klein. Not a great athlete from what I've seen. Not the best output on the feet. A lot of single strikes. Kind of a rudimentary boxing. Nothing special. Better kicking game. He likes teep kicks. He doesn't mind closing the distance and grinding and clinch, and really his striking is to get the fight to the ground. He wants to shoot in. He's got some good entries, more reactionary. If you kind of over pursue on him, good top control. He's hard to take down himself. He tried to. He's got 3 subs on his record. I mean, in his contender series match, he got a sub in like 30. I think it was like 30 seconds. So, as far as a prediction goes. Klein, I mean, he got a good win on Dana White's contender series, but I think Malik is a really bad matchup for him. Malik's a way better athlete. He hits harder. He's the better wrestler. I think he stuffs the entries from Klein. If he ends up on top, I think he smashes them from on top with ground and pound. But I think it actually might stuff and kind of try to keep it on the feet. I think he catches his chin. I'm going to say Malik does it early. I'm going to say Malik. So I'm going to go back to back. Starting out great. I'm going to say Malik wins by first round TKO. Let's see if the odds are with me. The odds are saying, for some reason, wait a minute. For some reason, bet fights don't have this. Am I missing it? This fight is not on there. Oh, they have it in 2 spots for some reason. I scrolled down too far. Mansur Abdul Malik. Oh my God, he's a negative 750. So yes, the odds are with me. I mean, I was seeing it as a pretty big favorite. Nick Klein plus 470. The one thing I'll say about Klein, and why I think the odds might be a little off, is the fact that one thing I like is Klein knows what he's good at, and he tries to get the fight where he's good at. So that's something to watch if he can get it there. Let's see what some of the listeners say. Eric Fursek minus 810 for Abdul, plus 500 for Klein, according to DraftKings. So even bigger favorite on DraftKings. Garrett Clemens says Malik by first round TKO, so he's feeling the same way. Tyler's asking, everyone is saying Sean Israel too, but why would get number 2 losing 4 or 5 fights? Yeah, I mean the big thing is they're still the 2 biggest names in the division, so that's my. I mean, I wouldn't do it if I was the UFC. SOS Rampage 3Z says Abdul by second round TKO. So everyone's kind of feeling the same way I am right now. Let's go to the next fight. The next fight is, again, I got to keep scrolling back and forth. I apologize. This is what people see how Ben is the glue that organizes all this. I'm always like this every single week. My notes all over the place. I'm just lining up jokes and shit to talk about instead of talking about fights. Ben is the one that keeps it on track, on pace. People see like how long we go. They don't see all the unedited stuff where we're side talking and I get off track and little rants and stuff. And Ben always cleans them up. The next fight, I'm sorry. The next fight is Ricky Simone versus Javid Basharat. Obviously, Ricky Simone's been in the UFC a really long time. He's a veteran of the sport. He's a pretty good athlete still. Not as explosive as he once was. He used to be like a wrestle boxer, and he's very physically strong. He used to have really good volume on his feet, but we saw in his last fight against Vinicius Oliveira, his volume really decreased really lower output. I'd say his hands are still fairly quick. When he lets his hands go, he throws a lot of combinations. When he gets in the pocket, he can really unload some power shots. He's willing to eat a shot, to land one of his own. A lot of that is because he's willing to brawl and he lacks head movement. Working the body has always been a big part of his game, and he has, I'd say, plus power. He throws hard calf kicks. He's a good wrestler, but I'd say his wrestling abilities is seeming to decline. He's not, exploding through your hips anymore. He did show a good reactionary double against Jack Shaw, and that's Shaw's a solid wrestler himself, but that was over 2 years ago. He has not looked the same. If he gets the fight to the ground, he has solid top control. He has no issues stalling on top, but go back to the Song Yadong fight. He couldn't take him down the whole fight. He really struggled to get down Song Yadong. If he does get the fight to the ground, he looks for submissions. He loves head and arm chokes, and he's gassed late. Against Mario Batista, it was a really high-paced fight, but he was gassing in only a 3-round fight. Moving to Basharat, obviously he's a guy that came to the UFC with a lot of buzz. He's a well-rounded fighter, good striker. He moves really well, very relaxed on the feet. He flows back and forth between both stances. I've said before, he's a really calculated striker. He can be too patient and not throw enough and give away, big portions of rounds and sometimes even rounds because of that. When he lets his hands go, he's got quick hands. He's accurate, not a lot of tells in his strikes. Got a nice jab, good at sliding out of range and landing shots. He attacks with combinations. He's good at hand fighting and using it to get around his opponent's attack, especially if you pillar against him, which is always why I've been not a big fan of pillaring. If you've heard me talk about that in the past. I love that he works the body. He's got some good power, good kicking game. I love his teep kicks, good calf kicks. He also checks his opponent's leg kicks. I love the step-in knees he was landing on Tony Gravely. He does need to clean up his defense a little bit. He carries his hands a little too low. He backs up on the center line, keeps his chin too high. He can get cracked because he keeps his hands low. He's a really good wrestler. I always go back to the Tony Gravely fight. He was taking down Gravely, who's a former D1 wrestler, solid wrestler in the division. He was taking him down. Not your traditional wrestler. He's good at kind of creating a scramble and winning the scrambles. He likes getting takedowns by catching kicks. He showed against Gravely really good takedown defense. He didn't wrestle Ayman Zahabi much, and that likely cost him the fight, something he should have won to. If he gets the fight down, good top game, likes to advance position on the ground, mean ground and pound. He has 6 submission wins. A big concern, though, is he faded it a little bit against Zahabi in a really close fight. So as far as prediction goes, I haven't looked at the lines. I'm assuming Basharat's a pretty big favorite. This feels like a passing of the torch fight. I'm not as high in the Basharat brothers as others are. No, I definitely think they're a good talent. I don't know if they're title, champions one day. They're going to win the title one day, but I do think both brothers are pretty well rounded. Javid is more technical on the feet than Ricky Simone. I think his wrestling is probably better than Simone's at this point. Javid's at the age where he could still continue to get better while Ricky Simone is declining. Javid is more technical. He's faster. He's a better athlete. He has more volume. I say he dominates Simone for 15 minutes, makes it look kind of easy. Give me Basharat by unanimous decision. Let's go to the odds real quick. Let's see. Like I said, I think. I'm sorry. Where's Ricky Simone? I'm just looking on the names on the left and then scroll my eyes over to the right. Basharat negative 298. Ricky Simone plus 240. So that's actually about where I thought it'd be. I thought maybe a little bit closer, but yeah, that's about where I thought it'd be. Let's go to some of the predictions. Bob Simpson's already jumping way down to a fight we'll get to later. Basharat will beat Ricky Simone up. Simone is ass. I don't know how to say that, but let's see. Yeah, James Scott talking about how I used to be really high on Simone too, but obviously I don't really trust his durability anymore. Gary Clinton's talking about me hating. I hate pillaring. It works in boxing. The thing about pillaring is being able to use your elbows to block shots. Obviously, you can't do that with leg kicks. You can't do that with having smaller gloves like you do in boxing. The fact that boxers can't hit below the belt, they actually pull the shorts up a little higher. So, yeah, that That's why I hate pillaring. SOS Rampage 3 says that Simone a couple years ago would have been a trap fight for Basharat. Yeah, that's actually really good. I think he really would have been 2 years ago, 3 years ago, just not anymore. So yeah, it seems like everybody, no one has disagreed, I think, on a pick yet. So let's go on to the next fight. The next fight is who's Rabayev. Sorry guys, the order is not on my notes. I gotta keep. All right, so the next fight is Nursultan Rabayev versus Eric Miconico. I don't know why I was having such a hard time pronouncing his name. Yeah, this fight was put together very last minute, like a couple days ago. Miconico making his UFC debut. I think somebody gave him a shout out this week. I think was it Cannonier? I think it was I'm almost positive it was Cannonier, but I could be wrong. But mentioned that Miconico getting his UFC debut. Yeah, put in the chat. Was I right? Was it Cannonier who mentioned Miconico getting his debut? But yeah, let's break down this fight. Rabayev, I mean, he's really big for the weight class. He's long and lengthy. I'd say he's a good striker. He's got some quick hands. He's accurate. He loves to time kicks with a counter right hand. He can be a little too right hand happy. We saw that in his last fight. He does have nice power. He throws a lot of kicks. He isn't the best wrestler. Like, I think his wrestling's a little overrated. But if he gets the fight to the ground, I mean, he can end the fight. This guy's a submission master. I mean, this guy's got 20 subs already in his career. He's not a good defensive wrestler. He's been taken down. He struggles to get back to the feet. Move over to Miconico. I think sometimes when you have a fight that, you need some people on the card, you're hanging out with people, someone says, hey, well, get my teammate. I think that's kind of the situation we have here. I mean, there's not a lot of buzz about a 34-year-old making his UFC debut. He's a southpaw. He throws straight shots on the pipe, but nothing really spectacular. He throws a lot of kicks. He loves high kicks. He closes a distance, and he likes to kind of get in close and dirty box. And I actually like his striking in close. Nice knees inside. Not a wrestler, and that's a big problem because he really wants to get the fight to the ground. He is a submission artist. He's got 3 subs on his record. He's got some good back takes. He competes in a lot of grappling competitions. But as far as prediction go, I think Rabayev, I think it's an easy one for him. I mean, I think he's going to have to fight off takedowns for Miconico. And Miconico, he's known for his grappling. But, I mean, I think Rabayev's going to land big shots hard shots on the feet. When it hits the ground, I think he's going to be the one to land in hard ground and pound. And then, you know what? Even though Miconico has, a grappling background, I think Rabayev's going to sub him. Give me Rabayev to continue, get his 21st submission win. I say he wins by second round sub. I'm assuming he's going to be a really big favorite. Let's see who has only one line. Oh, it's not as big as I thought. Betway right now is the only one with a line on it. Rabayev -300, Miconico plus 225. I think that might open up a little bigger. Eric, okay, you know what? I see it now. Eric first sick. I don't know how long he's gonna stick around, but he's throwing all the odds out there. So yeah, around that -310 for Ruza plus 250 for Miconico. So if he wants to keep doing that, I would just instead of checking the odds, I'll look what the chat says. Bob Simpson did say, yeah, he was in the corner. I didn't even notice that he was in the corner of Cannonier. Garrett Clemens is taking Rabayev, but kind of putting that little like, hey, I don't really know that much about Miconico, so take that for what it's worth. James Scott mentioned that he's MA lab guy. Yeah, I saw one fight where he was getting cornered by Benson Henderson, who's doing a lot more cornering now. I mean, he's been cornered for a lot, but it seems like he's really taking on that role. SOS Rampage 3Z says he likes Rabayev to get a bounce back, get a first round TKO. Garrett Clemens is going with the Darce choke. Seattle Ryan says, I heard Eric can wrestle. Yeah, I mean, he looks for takedowns. I wouldn't say he's a great offensive wrestler. He said that's how you beat Nursultanov. Nursultan. Yeah, that could be. So that's why I'd probably stay away from the odds. Seattle Ryan, are you going to be at the fights? I'm assuming Seattle Ryan means you live in Seattle. He says no odds for Font fight. So Eric Fursick he makes odds and everything. So he must be a big gambler. You are going to the fights. Nice. Good. Hope you enjoy it. It kind of sucks that so many fights fell apart for you. But if it makes you feeling better, I went to the Habib Ally Quinton nonsense with Connor throwing the bus there, the dolly into the bus and everything, and that everything fell apart in that one. I actually went. I just started with Sherdog there, but I didn't go to cover the fights then. I was with, and I don't know if he was with MMA Junkie yet, but Nolan King is a friend of mine. He's obviously a local guy too. He's a great too. We actually drove up together. We had a great time. We were sitting in the nosebleeds, just us. He was tweeting, I was drinking. Like we had a great time. So, Seattle Ryan saying Fluffy's wife got me discount tickets on I'm assuming he's talking about Fluffy Anthony Hernandez. So that's kind of really cool. So obviously he must have some kind of connection with Anthony Hernandez. I'm sure you're going to be going for him. Let's move on. The fourth, and guys, I'm not going to do okay, now we're hitting the main card. I don't even know where the main card starts. This is all the stuff. These are the stuff I don't think of during previews because Ben does all this stuff for me. That's why he's I'm the DC of the show. I'm unprepared. I just talk about the fighting. I don't know, 3-fight winning streak, 4-fight winning streak, all that stuff that Ben does. That's why he's the best. But let's move on. We are on we're actually rolling pretty quick. We're on the fifth. So we're going fast, which just shows that Ben talks too much. So I want to say, Ben, shut up. No, I'm just kidding, obviously. Let's go to the fifth fight. The fifth fight is New England's own. Let me find it where it is in my my notes. I apologize again. The fifth fight, Billy Goff taking on Adam Fugitt. Adam Fugitt is an action fighter. He's southpaw. He beats guys with pressure. He's constantly moving forward, taking the ground. He has good output. I love the body work. He works the body a lot. He has some nice power. I'd say plus power. He throws nonstop kicks. I mean, you go back to the Quinlan fight. He threw more kicks than he threw punches. It was pretty impressive. He likes to kick his opponent's arms too. He talked about that when they're blocking just to hurt their arms so they can't throw punches, which is pretty strategic. He loves teep kicks. He blends takedown attempts in with his striking, though they categorize as a wrestler, but I know maybe I'm a little hard on people's wrestling. I think his wrestling's a little overrated. I wouldn't call him a great wrestler at all. For some reason, I wrote in my notes 3 times, so I must have been really shitting on his wrestling. He can get overextended looking for takedowns. If he gets to fight the round, he does have 3 subs on his record, so that's something to watch for. Moving to Billy Goff, he's a really good athlete. He's really tough. He can take a beating and keep on pressuring. I'd say he's a pressure kickboxer. He beats his opponents by forcing them onto their back foot. He wins with volume. He loves to get in a pocket and brawl. He wants to brawl. He's excited about that. He can get wild and overthrow his shots. That's how when you have a brawl. But he has solid power. He has TKO wins over good fighters like Gary Boletto, Justin Sumner. Those are good regional wins before he came to the UFC. He throws kicks, though he will throw naked leg kicks. I would give Fugitt the advantage in the kicking category. He has a lot of defensive issues. One, he keeps his chin really high in the air. He also hangs his hands low. I've seen him hurt many times, but to his credit, he gets hurt and he still stays in his opponent's face. He closes distance. He likes the dirty box. He landed some mean elbows inside against Justin Sumner in their fight in close. He's not a bad wrestler. He will sneak in a takedown, but definitely not a high-level wrestler. But he wrestles a lot. If taken down, he works well to get back to his feet. If he ends up on top, he isn't a submission threat at all. And he's gassed himself out a little bit in his last fight for looking for takedowns, but I've seen Goff a lot. That's something I wouldn't count on him gassing. I love this fight. I think, yeah, I mean, both guys the mid-card guys are the best. But what I like is they're both action guys. Let's see. Let's see what's the odds. Let's see. Oh, Eric Ferksag said Goff is negative 270. Fugitt plus 2. Oh, the fight got canceled. Did that just happen right now? That must have happened. Right? Oh, this is the problem. When I pull my notes up, I can't see the chat. So when I pull my notes up, it covers the chat. So we don't obviously when me and Ben do it, we don't have the chat. So I have that space where I put the notes. So everyone's saying the fight guy can't. That's too bad because it was Bob Simpson. Forget about it. I'm glad that I didn't see. I broke down the entire fight and everyone's saying canceled. Guys, you ready for this? And I guess if they run it back, if they get this rebooked. For once, I was taking a New Englander. I was taking Billy Goff. And if you guys watch this show, I almost never ever take a New England fighter. And for once, I actually was taking Billy Goff's actually one of the New Englanders I like. But let's see if I take Rob Font later on. I feel bad for Seattle Ryan. He's talking about how ripped off that he paid so much money to go to these fights and fights that keep falling off. I mean, yeah, dude, that sucks, dude. I feel bad for you. This should be some kind of like, damn guys, this should be some kind of like discount after so many fights get canceled. I mean, this one's got to be up there. I don't know what fights have had the most canceled. I mean, I know it would be really hard to tell because fights get booked and they get a fight they got canceled 2 months ago that was on this card or something. But when you add up all the cards, when you look at all the things that have been announced for this card, this was going to be a really good card. And damn. Anyway, so let's skip that one. Let's move on. We have Portia Balance favorite fighter Iwan Kullaba coming up, and he is fighting. Let's see. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, guys. Where's my notes? I can't find this fight. All right, fine. Iwan Kullaba take on Ibo Aslan. A really fun knockout. Two big, strong guys fighting out. Kullaba, he's a wrestler boxer. Though, he used to fight Abzerki. He's been a lot more controlled lately. Though he, for years he'd want to brawl. He's really changed that. He still wants to get in close and throw some hard, tight hooks. He loves his big left hook. He telegraphs because he loads up on every shot. But again, he's not as berserker as he used to be. He's a little bit more controlled. That said, on the feet, the controlled, I don't think really helps him. I think his best chance on the feet is to land big shots, to be wild. He does have power. I mean, look at the guy. The guy's freaking big, huge, muscle guy. But so he does have power, but not as much as the broadcast teams could pretend. Like they're going to pretend he's Francis Ngannou out there. He still kind of turtles up and defensively he turtles up to avoid strikes, which I hate. He doesn't check leg kicks. He's got those big, large legs that gets kicked out before. He can close the distance and work in the clinch, and he's a really solid wrestler. I mean, he's been wrestling a lot lately. When he first came on the scene of the UFC, he was known for his wrestling. Then he didn't really wrestle. He has taken down 7 of his last 8 opponents. He's really made that, and he's more controlled in his wrestling. So I think when we talk about being controlled, I think in the wrestling category, it's much better for him. In the striking category, I still like the berserker thing a little bit. He has good ground and pound. Not, if he gets on top, he can do some damage, but he doesn't have the best control. I mean, I always go back to the Johnny Walker fight where he was on top and was losing control. He ends up on bottom. He struggles to get on the bottom. He got caught in the submission by Johnny Walker, which you're not a guy really known for his submission skills. And Kullaba, I mean, his cardio sucks. He's gassed out so much in the past. And I've said this before. He seems like a front runner. Everything is going well. He's a beast. When he faces adversity, he tends to crumble a little bit. Move over to his opponent, Ibo Aslan. Aslan, he's a really good striker, high output on the feet. Not the best athlete. He's a little flat-footed. He's a little bit of a plotter, but he gets in the pocket and he's a strong boxer. He throws hard hooks. He has big power. He has 14 TKOs, which is every single win in his career has been by TKO. 8 of them have come in the first round. Now, again, I've said this in his UFC debut. A lot of them have gone against low level. I mean, really bad guys. But if you engage with him, you bite down on the mouthpiece and swing. That's the kind of fight he wants. He doesn't move his head much though. He eats some shots. He's got a big kicking game. He likes some hard switch kicks. He's got some hard leg kicks. I haven't seen too much of his ground game, but though his one loss came by sub, when I've seen him, his cardio is better than you thought, especially the way he fights. Do you think he'd gas out? But this is a tough one. Picking Kullaba, like picking his fights are always really tough to pick because he's so inconsistent and he tends to find ways to lose. Asan is hard to pick because he's fought nobody, and we really don't have that big of an idea about his ground game, and this is the one you could kind of find out. I'm still picking Asan, though. I don't know if Asan is good, but I do know that Kullaba isn't. I say he lands a big shot. I say he puts Kullaba out. I say he continues, and he starts getting some buzz about him. Give me Asan by first round TKO. Let's see what the odds were. Let's see if my man. I don't. Yeah, again, Klein's gotta be good. Keith always talking about the comedy, always talking about people's power. Yeah, that's true. I do mention that a lot. That they always. Oh, Seattle Ryan saying that the UFC leaves the canceled fights on the website to sell tickets. That is kind of messed up. John Butterfield is going Kullaba by ground. I'm okay with that pick. I'm really okay with that pick because I haven't seen too much of Aslan's ground game, so that's a big mystery. And I've seen Kullaba and I've seen him wrestle, and he can wrestle. He's a good wrestler. I mean, we've seen that time and time again. Let's go to the odds. The odds. Let's see. It's to me, my pick was more anti Kullaba than it was pro Aslan. Okay, the odds are close, and I think so. The odds makers kind of going the same way as probably I'm thinking. Is Aslan has a lot of question marks. -155 for Aslan, +130 for Kullaba. So far, I think I'm halfway through a card. I haven't picked an underdog yet, which is unusual to me. So hopefully, I really hope I don't pick all the way, picking nothing but favorites. Let's move on. The next fight we have is, I believe it's Andre Fely fight. It is Andre Fely. All right, next fight is Andre Fely versus Mel Quizel. I know I butchered that. Costa. I apologize ahead of time. I was during the recap show last night when I was doing it with Dane Fox. He was actually fantastic. I mean, his knowledge is incredible. His knowledge and he's really sharp at picking fights, and he's an old school guy. But yeah, he says Polo Costa, and it's always funny because I know that's the way you're supposed to pronounce it. But from my neck of the woods, I grew up in a very Portuguese neighborhood, and it's Costa. We always say Costa. That's the New Englanders in us. But I don't know. I can't even say it correctly the way they say it. Costa. So I know that's how they say it on the broadcast show and Joe Rogan and all them, but Costa, that's how you're supposed to say it. I grew up with a bunch of Costas. Half my neighborhood, that was their last name. Anyways, let's get into this fight. This is a really fun fight. Andre Fely, he's a long, rangy striker. He keeps his range by moving so much, using good footwork. He flows between both stances. He's a pretty technically sound striker. Works behind a long jab, quick hands. He throws long strikes down the pipe. He is a counter striker. He feints to kind of set up his power shots. He feints, get you to react, and he lands a power shot. He loves fade back counters, which is something I've always liked. We saw it beautiful in last night by Edmund Shabazian. I'd say his plus power. I mean, we saw him blast Lucas Almeida. He has a really good kicking game. I always describe he loves that like Robert Whittaker dipping one way, throwing a high kick on the other side thing going. He looks for a lot of takedowns, but he doesn't really drive through the hips. It's really like he'll get deep on the hips and then get sprawled on because he doesn't drive through. If he gets the fight to the ground, he needs to improve his top control. He isn't much of a submission threat. If he's taken down, he struggles to get back to his feet. We saw that against Bryce Mitchell. We saw it against Sadiq Yusuf. They took him down. They held him down. He has taken tons of damage in his career. I mean, he's been in the UFC for a really long time. Recently, he got knocked out by Joe Anderson Brito. He was hurt multiple times by Nathaniel Wood. He was knocked it's bad if you see a knockout against Dan Ige. Recently, I was saying that I thought his chin was completely shot, and apparently it's not, but it's still something I might have been premature on that, but I'm still a little worried about it. Costa's a southpaw that he'll switch stances a lot. He's a solid striker. He works behind a jab. He throws a lot of combinations. He has I'd say plus power. He's got a good kicking game. He crushes the body, especially from the orthodox stance. Though he'll throw a lot of naked kicks. He beat Austin Lingo alone just with kicks. I like his teep kicks. He likes some spinning attacks. He's an underrated offensive wrestler, but he's a very weak defensive wrestler. He struggles to get on, get off the bottom if he's stuck there. If he ends up on top, I like his ground and pound. He's a solid grappler. He's got some good back takes. He's a submission threat. Though he was subbed by Thiago Moises, but that's Moises' game. But then he just subbed Shillan, Norden Becky. God, I'm terrible at pronunciations. But you got to worry about his chin too. Steven Garcia just recently smashed him, but Garcia's been doing it to everybody. I really let's see the odds on this one, because I really flip-flopped on this one. Let's see if anybody has the odds. Let's see. Fely minus 120, Costa plus 100. Okay, so pretty much almost a pick 'em. Man, let's see. I'm going to give my prediction, but I just want to throw out what other people are saying. Kyle Law, he's saying, he was talking about he was going back to the Kullaba fight, double KO. Both guys knocked each other out. SOS Rampage, going back to the last fight, he's saying he's taking Astley, just simply can't pick Kullaba. That's kind of how I feel. I feel kind of the same way. I can't pick Kullaba anymore. Seattle might just call him Melky. Yes, I probably should have. Gary Clemens is talking about how inconsistent Fely is. Yeah, and he's not old, but he's old in fight years because he's been around for so long. John Butterfield, he's going with Fely. SOS Rampage, Costa by decision because Fely has traded wins and losses every 5 of the last 5 years, and he won his last fight. That's the kind of analysis that we need. So, man, I almost want to pick Costa just to keep that thing going. I'm really glad the line is really close, because this is one of the fights that I had a really hard time, maybe the hardest time picking on the entire card. I'm going to go with Fely simply because I know he will wrestle, and I think Costa will try to play too much BJJ, and it will be really hard to sub Fely. Costa's got some poor takedown defense. I think the takedowns for Fely would be just enough to narrow a really, really close decision. You know what? I'll say it's so close. I'll say Fely by split decision. Let's move on. Only 5 fights left, so this is really good. It's early. It's only 9:51 here on the East Coast. This one was just added like 2 days ago or 3 days ago. Wasn't really on my notes. Actually, it was Thursday because I was at my daughter's softball practice, and I looked down and saw that there was added, and I was like, oh man, I gotta do some tape research on another guy real quick. Alonzo Manfield taking on UFC newcomer Julius Walker. We kind of know what we have in Manfield. He's always been a pretty good athlete. He moves well. He fights behind a high guard defense. He's a distance striker, even though he's a shorter guy for the division. He's got a great counter right hand. He has big power. We saw it against Misha Serkinov. We saw it against Jimmy Crute. But often he will look to try to land the perfect below. He kind of telegraphs his shots, loading up on everything. He can also overthrow his shots, which leave him to be, big target to be countered. He tends to fight in spurts, and I think this is a way that he's learned over the years, kind of his experience, to kind of conserve his energy. He gets inside on a lot of guys, but for some reason he couldn't do it against Dustin Jacoby. He struggled to get inside on him. He throws a lot of kicks. He's got a good high kick. He's got some good calf kicks. He has improved his takedown defense greatly. I still want to say it's a strength by any means, but he's tough takedowns for Devin Clark, Misha Serkinov, Jimmy Crute. His grappling has come a really long way. I mean, he recently got a guillotine on Jimmy Crute. I mean, again, that win hasn't aged well, but I still think winning by sub against Crute is something that years ago we wouldn't have said from Alonzo Manfield. He has gassed out in the past, but his tank has also really improved drastically. Again, probably because of the way he fights, he really conserves his energy now. I am worried about his durability, though. He was recently smashed by Carlos Alberg and Asamat Mirzakhanov. Again, those are some really top of the division type guys. Walker, what I like about him, he's only 25 years old, which is extremely young for the division. He's already beaten some pretty decent guys on the regional scene. He beat Myron Dennis. He beat Von Lewis. Like those are some good wins. He's a long and lengthy fighter. He switches back and forth between both stances, orthodox and southpaw. Straight punches down the pipe. He has a high guard defense. Hard calf kicks. He does avoid strikes by backing straight up, which is concerning. He also throws too many single strikes. He needs to really up his output, especially in the UFC. I'd say plus power, and he's not even in his power years yet. He can sneak in a takedown, but he must improve his top control. He's got weak takedown defense, though. To his credit, he's hard to hold down. He has 2 subs on his record, including a submission in his last fight. Though I am concerned he has gassed out a little in the past. Let's go to the odds. I'll give my pick first. This is a hard fight to pick because I'm not very high on either. That said, Manfield has a lot of years experience. He's faced some tough guys and has actually beaten some pretty tough guys. Walker, on the other hand, he's very young, which I like. He's longer, which I like. But I say Manfield gets inside. I say he lands the hardest shots. I see Walker. What I've seen so far. I definitely think he could be a UFC level talent. But at this point, I see him as probably just a lower level UFC talent. Give me Manfield to win the striking exchanges, maybe even land some shots. If it turns into grappling, maybe land some shots on top. Give me Manfield. Manfield, I'll say by decision. He's won some decisions recently. Eric Fursick, he tells me Manfield -170, Walker +142. That's about what I think is about right. Yeah, I think it's about right. Garrett Clemens says he doesn't know much about Walker. Yeah, yeah, John Benefield says I think Walker might be about a Jimmy Crute type level. So he'll take Manfield. I think that's actually pretty good compliment, saying if he's Jimmy Crute level. Dev says, "What's up, my man?" Manfield. I almost messaged Dev today, but I was like, "Damn, dude, that'd be messed up." Be like, "Hey, you want to do a preview on day's notice?" Kyle Law, he's saying Alonzo Manfield by second round TKO. SOS Rampage saying Manfield by first round. To talk about how inconsistent he is, though. So let's move on. Next fight, probably the fight that a lot of people are super excited about. I'll go all the way back to Bob Simpson earlier, saying he said, "You heard it here first." He's saying Gene Silva will lose. That I'm trying to find my notes. That Bagdasarian will land a high kick and put him out. It was a really fun fight. Gene Silva is a guy that, he's burst on the scene and he's like sensational. He's a very good athlete, very elusive, moves well laterally. Even though he moves well laterally, he's almost mostly always moving forward because he has a really high output. He's a very good striker. I'm sorry, guys. My throat's bothering me. I'm still getting over a cold, so talking straight now is – I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit, so I apologize. He's very fast. He generates power because he sits on his punches. He has 11 TKOs. He likes to sit on the outside and then burst into the pocket and fight. He can get wild and swing for the fences and load up on shots. But if he lands, man, he's got the power to put you out. He's got a great hook, great left hook. He looks for elbows inside. He's really good in the pocket boxer. I love his stepping knees. He'll throw a lot of kicks, a nice high kick. He wants to be the one pressing the action, and he doesn't want to be backed up. He kind of a hold your ground type striker. He doesn't look to wrestle much, but he's shown great athleticism and scramble ability. If you try to take him down, he's very hard to get down. If taken down, he bursts right back up. He's hard to hold down. He has 2 submission wins, and I'm impressed with his cardio. I mean, this guy fights like a freaking madman, and he doesn't gas out. Now move up to Malik Bagdasarian. Obviously this Armenian fighter, extremely decorated kickboxer. I mean, he's fought in K1. He's won world championships in the kickboxing scene. He's a southpaw, high output, quick hands, good at picking up his opponent's timing. His left hand is really good. He has serious power. He went through a 4-fight winning streak where his longest fight was 32 seconds, which is incredible. Incredible high kick knockout of Colin England. He's not a wrestler at all, though. He has a massive Achilles heel with his defensive wrestling. I mean, he's so poor defensively. I mean, Josh Kullaba took him down, subbed him really quick. He's a definition of a really one-dimensional fighter. I mean, he's so good on the feet, so good on the feet. Let's see. I want to see before I give my prediction. I want to see what the odds are. Let's see. Silva negative 575. Bagdasarian plus 2. I'm assuming that means plus 200. That's plus 425. I'm sorry. Yeah, of course that makes more sense. But wow, I love Gene Silva. I mean, he's really good, but those odds are freaking nuts. Wow. Kyle Law, he's saying this is a major step down for Silva. He's saying that Dober would roast Bagdasarian. I'm not sure about that on the feet, Kyle. Not on the feet. If Dober stood and swung it out with Bagdasarian, I might take Bagdasarian. John Bedfield saying Silva and the fight nerds on falling for a takedown, ground and pound round 1. Yeah, that would be the smart approach. I will say this: I do not mind Bob Simpson's prediction of Bagdasarian on the feet. I mean, I think the line should be much closer just because of that dynamic that he has. But I'm picking Silva. I mean, he has so much momentum. His output is unmatched. He just has more avenues for victory. I mean, he can win with volume. He can win by landing a big shot. But he also can wrestle. And now I know we haven't seen that much of his ground game, but anybody who's ever stepped on the mat is a better wrestler than Bagdasarian is. I say Silva forces the action. He pressures Bagdasarian onto his back foot. I see it very similar to what John Butterfield is saying. I think he goes for a takedown. I think he gets it down. I think he lands a ground and pound. I'll say he goes to the second round just to be different than Mr. Butterfield. But yeah, I see it very similar. Give me Gene Silva by second round TKO. Rampage SOS is going the same thing. He's going second round TKO. Let's move on. The other New Englander, the fight that was just added this week, early this week, he was supposed to fight Dominic Silva. Now Rob Font is taking on the undefeated young up-and-comer Gene Matsumoto. Rob Font looked good in his last fight. Obviously got a win. He's a good striker, fights out of both stances. He's a boxer. I've had said this before, especially recently. I think his boxing is kind of grossly overrated. I don't think he has the hand speed that he once had. It's still. I mean, he's still a good technical boxer. He marches down his foe with a classic high guard defense. He works behind a jab. He sets up his right hand, which is accurate, by using feints to kind of distract. When he gets inside, he'll throw some combinations. Not really known for his punching power, but he did put out Adrian Yannis, a good striker in his own well. He works the body well. He throws. He sorry, guys. He doesn't really throw many kicks anymore, Rob Font. It's kind of faded as he's gotten older. He's also much more hittable now because he lacks head movement. I also don't trust his chin. He's taking a lot of damage, and he's old. I mean, the guy's already 37. He will look for takedowns. I mean, he took down Sergio Pettis like a million years ago, but he took down Ricky Simone. He took down Cody Garbrandt. So he kind of uses those long arms to get body locks and stuff. Don't expect that to be a big part of his game, but it's something to keep in the back of mind. But he's a horrendous defensive wrestler. I mean, Corey Sandhagen took him down at will. I mean, even Kyler Phillips in a loss took him down 4 times. He makes matters worse because he'll jump for a guillotine. he struggles to get back up. He did show a much better game recently getting up, but he still plays too much BJJ off his back. But he has 4 submission wins. Moving to Matsumoto, he's only 25 years old. He's looked solid, though. I mean, it was an absolute banger of a fight, his last fight against Brad Katona. I actually scored it for Katona. I gave Katona the first and third round, but it was really, really close. Really fun, entertaining fight. I think both guys look really good. Matsumoto, he's a Muay Thai striker. He fights well out of both stances. Great output on the feet. He's your classic stand your ground, don't move back type striker. I love his mindset against Dan Argueta. Just very, very mentally strong, pressing Argueta back, winning that fight that way. He's got very fast hands. He's accurate. He works behind a good jab. He attacks with combinations. Nice 1-2 combo. He's got a good left hook. He's got plus power. He mixes punches and kicks together well. He's got a big kicking game. He targets the thighs instead of the calves. He's got a quick high kick. He fights behind a high guard defense. He does pillar to block shots, which I don't like, which has made him very hittable. He will look for takedowns, but he's not a powerful wrestler. Like he kept trying to take Brad Katona down, gets stuffed a lot. He's a good grappler. He's got good BJJ. He loves the guillotine. Very impressive cardio. He really doesn't stop. This is a massive step up for Matsumoto. I mean, not to mention that he's taking the fight on days' notice. I mean, obviously Font was preparing for Cruz. I'm a little torn. Let's see what the odds say. Let's see. Eric Fursick is between plus 130 and plus 175. Wow. And Matsumoto between minus 175 and minus 205. Wow. I actually thought Font was going to be the favorite. Wow. I thought I was setting myself up to take my first upset pick, but I'm not. I'm taking the favorite again. What I like about Matsumoto is he's at the age where he's improving. He's shown really good speed, good variety, and Font is at the age of declining. I think Matsumoto is going to eat a lot of jabs. This is a big step up in competition, going from Katona to Font. But he might eat the shots, but I think he's going to respond with some big, powerful shots on himself. I think he's got the hand speed advantage, which not many people have over Font. I think he actually might land a takedown or two just to kind of win close rounds. Give me Matsumoto by decision. Let's see if the listeners are with me. Butterfield St. Font has been underdog in 3 of his last 4 wins, so that's a really good point. So, are you taking it, Mr. Butterfield? Kyle here. I got Matsumoto winning rounds 1 and 3. I feel like Font still has enough in him to control a round with a jab. Okay. Oh, catchweight fight. Okay. So this is I didn't realize this was a catchweight fight. So thanks for that information. I didn't. What are they fight? I'm assuming 140. Is that what it's at? It's not one. No, I'm assuming not 145. Obviously, probably 140. 140. Okay. I definitely feel better about Matsumoto with that than I would at 135. Butterfield's going a very low confident pick, but he's taken Mr. Font. Rampage is Font by decision, using experience in cardio plus a win. If this were a 5-round fight, I'd probably feel a little better about. I feel better about Font to win 25 minutes than 15. So it seems like the upset pick that a lot of people right now. I think, did anybody take Mats? Oh no, me and Kyle Lohi is riding with Matsumoto. It seems like everybody else is thinking Font's the guy. So I'm going against New England again. Luke Wilson mentions that Font is such a tough guy to pick because I think he usually either looks really surprisingly good or gets dominated start to finish. That's actually really true. He's taking Matsumoto. So okay, so we're a little split. This is the first fight that we kind of split. Let's move on. Co-main event. Could make an argument that this probably should be the main event as a rematch for the LFA championship from 2018, I think. Co-main event, we have Brennan Allen taking on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Put it in the chat. Do you guys think this should have been the main event? Or because of Cejudo's name that the main event should be Cejudo? I mean, he obviously former double champion, Olympic champion, all that. Biggest name on the card. And I know sometimes the main event has more to do with selling to the public than is what should be the best matchup. Obviously, you put you put Cejudo's name on the card, it probably would attract more people than, my friends have no idea who Brendan Allen and Anthony Hernandez is, but they might know who Henry Cejudo is. So, but I don't know, like competition wise, standings in the division, I say it's at least equal. But let's get into the action. I'll say this right away about Brendan Allen. He looked really bad against Imavov. I mean, he looked flat. One of his worst showings in the UFC. He didn't have any confidence in his hands, which was really surprising. I don't know if there's something was wrong, if he had an injury. Usually he's a volume striker. He's a builder that picks up the volume as the fight moves on. He's a Muay Thai type striker, fights behind a high guard defense, loves his straight right hand. Though he can overextend and overthrow shots, leaving him open to be countered. I'd say he has plus power. I mean, he's a big guy for the division. He throws some good step in knees, step in elbows too. Two things he looks. He kind of has that like mean streak on that. Big kicking game. He lands kicks to all areas of the body. I mean, even in a loss, go back to like the Sean Strickland fight. He was hurting Strickland with kicks. Calf kicks are probably the best part of his game. He marches down his foe. He does stand a little too tall for my liking. He's very hittable. He can be hurt a lot, but he's so freaking tough. He can take a beating and succeed in those kind of fights. He's very mentally strong. I mean, look back to this fight with Chris Curtis. I mean, that was a freaking banger. He will look for takedowns, though he will shoot without a setup. It gets him off. He kept shooting with his head straight down, which was really surprising. More of like a funk style wrestler. He won't blast through your hips. You kind of create a scramble and win it. If he ends up on top, he has no issues with stalling on top, holding it down, pinning you against the canvas. He will advance with solid BJJ. He got some good slick back takes. I saw him hit a sweep in the past. He can catch a submission. Move over to Anthony Hernandez. I'm all in on Hernandez. I know Ben is a big favorite of Hernandez too. He's kind of been like I'll say this. A lot of people have come over to the Anthony Hernandez side. Me and Ben were on that train before a lot of people. We aren't one of those guys. We don't like pound our chest and we told you so. We're not like that. But it definitely he fits the mold of the kind of guys that we like. We love overachievers, and he's a minus athlete, but he just makes up for by being a badass. He fights with tons of volume. He marches down his foe, doesn't really take a step back, nonstop pressure. He gets inside. He throws big shots. He's got underrated power, even though he's a smaller guy in there. He can hit hard. He's a very good wrestler. Nice entries, constantly wrestling. He's got like a little bit of Marab in him, but he's not even about the takedowns, about just making you work. He's a very underrated submission artist. I mean, he subbed Hidalgo Vieira, and yeah, Hidalgo was gassing out, but it wasn't completely a fluke. He caught Vieira a bunch of times with submissions, and I mean, he's kind of a specialist. He's got this whole front headlock series, guillotines, anacondas. He's a weaker defensive wrestler, but he's hard to hold on. He's got a good get-up game, good submission defense, and he uses cardio as the ultimate weapon. He gets stronger as the fight goes on, as other guys fade. Allen is coming off a very poor showing, while Hernandez is coming off a fantastic showing. They fought once, and Hernandez won. I mean, again, that was 2018, 19, something like that. It was forever ago. They both have had huge wins, tons of wins, and then so I'm not taking that to a factor, but I think Hernandez wins again. I think this is a bad stylistic matchup for Allen. I think Hernandez crashes the pocket, gets past Allen's kicking range, make it a boxing match on the feet. If he shoots in for a takedown, I think Hernandez gets takedowns. If Allen shoots in for a takedown, I think Hernandez is going to stuff those takedowns. I think we get like 15 minutes of thrashing. Give me Hernandez to dominate. Give me Hernandez by unanimous decision. As far as the betting lines, Allen is plus 235, Hernandez minus 290. Yeah, I mean, I'd give Allen a little better a chance than that. But yeah, I'm glad that Hernandez is a big favorite because I'm pretty confident in that pick. Fugitt has taken Fluffy. Luke Wilson is agreeing with me. Doesn't have any issue with the co-man being the main event. Rampage is saying the same thing, like that I was saying, that Triple C is the bigger name, but this is the better matchup. Stack saying Springfield, Ohio represent. Are you from Springfield, Ohio? Do you live in Springfield, Ohio? I need to know that, dude, because that might become the official Springfield. If you'd be the first one to say it. Kyle Law, he's saying Allen is a live dog for my money. Believe in the Gilly. He is not hitting. He is not catching my man Hernandez in a guillotine. That's not happening, dude. I think he might win. He ain't catching my man Hernandez in a guillotine. Griffin Bass is going. He said he's kind of saying the same thing. He doesn't mind Fluffy and Allen as the main, but thinks Cejudo and Song makes more sense. Luke Wilson is saying really tough matchup for Allen. James Scott said they fought each other in the LFA. Did I not say it? Did I say something else? I thought I said the LFA. I apologize if I said a different name and organization. John Butterfield, he's saying that he could see Allen catching a switch. I think you guys are crazy guy. I think Hernandez is going to smash. So Butterfield mentions that Hernandez has fought a striker after striker. He's forgetting that he fought the most decorated grappler in the division, or in the UFC in Adolfo Vieira. I mean, I knew that was a long time ago. Kyle Lohi. Okay, so Lohi's saying Allen, based on the odds, is a good underdog, but he's taking Fluffy late. Third round sub. Rampage. I mean, damn, I guess everyone's like, I'm thinking the line is good. I like Fluffy a lot, but a lot of people are saying Fluffy to win, but the line should be closer. Griffin Bass is taking Allen straight up. John Butterfield mentioned he tapped Moniz. Moniz not that good. Yeah, so man, not many people are taking Allen, but there's a couple of guys taking Allen to win. I'm all in on Fluffy. This is what me and Ben had talked about before, about like taking like most confident pick, throwing it out there on the preview show, which I think would be kind of fun to do. Not doing like taking a negative 800, like most confident between like a certain range. This might be my most confident pick. I think Fluffy dominates Brandon Allen, but I could be wrong. And you know me, I will eat my crow on the recap show. I have no problem with that. Moving on to the main event, we have former 2-weight champion Henry Cejudo taking on Song Yadong. Henry Cejudo, I'll say this about Cejudo. He hasn't looked terrible since his return. But that said, he obviously isn't the same fighter that was, once a pound for pound great when he was a double champ. Now, I will say this. People forget he won a round against Marab, which is very impressive. But being now that he's 38, the dude gets injured filming a podcast, breaking down film on a podcast. It's hard to imagine, him improving. Now, and then add in his last 3 wins. His last 3 wins against TJ Dillashaw, Marlon Moraes, and Dominic Cruz. Those haven't aged well, and they were forever ago. He's a smaller bantamweight, a former flyweight. I would say this. So I did say his wins haven't aged well, but his losses aren't bad. I mean, he lost to Marab and he lost to Aljamain Sterling, so he can still be one of the top guys in the division. What I see on film, one big thing is he doesn't move anymore. A big thing, he used to cut angles. When we go back to like when he was fighting Demetrius Johnson, he's more of a stationary target now. He's a good boxer. He's got that bladed stance. He's got some fast hands. He sets up his shots well with feints. He's got a good tight right hand. He has plus power. He throws good calf kicks. Defensively, he always keeps his chin really high in the air. Now, obviously, he's a really good wrestler. Former Olympic gold medalist. But I've said this before. The dude's 38 years old. He won the Olympics when he was 21. This is not the guy who won the Olympic medal. I always like to point this out. You know how he's not best in the world, Olympic medalist level wrestler anymore? Because he didn't make the team when he was 25. He couldn't make it. He came to MMA because he couldn't make it in wrestling anymore. Now, I'm not dogging him. Obviously, winning an Olympic gold medal is incredible accomplishment. Like, very few people get to do that in wrestling. Only 6 guys every 4 years become an Olympic gold medalist in freestyle wrestling. 12 guys total in freestyle and Greco. So unbelievable accomplishment. It's harder to win an Olympic gold medal in wrestling than it is to win a UFC title. Like, way harder. But he wouldn't be ranked if he was still wrestling for something. I know he's 38, but if he was still wrestling, he wouldn't be ranked in the top 100 in America right now in his weight class. So it kind of reminds me. So I just watched this documentary on Netflix. It was about the America's battle with the Somalis back in, I think it was like 1993, based on the Black Hawk Down movie, which I'm sure some of you guys have seen. Obviously really good movie. But I'm watching it, and they're talking about Rangers and Delta Force guys and like the baddest guys on the planet. But they're in their 50s and 60s now. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, if they were, and I wasn't thinking when I was watching, I'm thinking this now, but like, those guys had to run 5 miles out while getting shot at, while carrying gear in Somalia. Yeah, because they were in their 20s and their 30s. If they had to do it in their 50s and 60s, they'd be dead. The guys who survived this, incredible story would be dead. That's how Cejudo would be coming into wrestling now at the highest level. If Henry Cejudo had to wrestle Spencer Lee, he would be dead. Spencer Lee would kill him in Olympic. So when people say, "Oh, this guy wrestled Olympic gold medal," it's like, hey, no, he did not. Like, he wrestled a guy who won the Olympics forever ago. But that said, don't take it wrong. He still has good entries. I mean, he took down Merab twice in that fight. He's got a great high crotch. He shows that he's still really strong, can slam guys. He's good at winning scrambles. I mean, he took Aljamain Sterling down, who's a very good grappler. He took him down 3 times. He loves to get to the clinch and hit the inside trip. I said, I coach wrestling, and I call when a guy has a leg and people might not know what to do, when you get 2 underhooks when they got your leg and you mule kick out and you go right into an inside trip. I call it the Cejudo trip. And I tell people, go for the Cejudo, So I'm not dogging his wrestling. I really appreciate his wrestling. His takedown defense has declined, though you still have to be a pretty elite wrestler to take him down. But he couldn't handle Merab's pace, but nobody can handle Merab's pace. Now move on to Song Yadong. I mean, he's a really good striker, good volume on the feet. He's very technically sound. He has tight boxing. He's got quick hands. He's got a great jab. He follows with combinations. He's accurate. Not a lot of tells. He has serious power. If he connects, he's got a good kicking game. I love his high kick. I love his calf kicks. I mean, he probably lost to Pierre Dion because he stopped kicking Pierre Dion. Like, that's something he abandoned the kicks against Pierre Dion. He's a solid offensive wrestler. One thing that was working against John was he was faking takedowns and then landing power shots over the top. Something that he could maybe try. He's probably, he could take Cejudo down, but it's probably less likely. But if he fakes a takedown against Cejudo and throws a punch over the top, it's something he can land. Not the best defensive wrestler. I mean, his defensive wrestling looked good against Ricky Simone, but not as good against Pierre Dion. Also, in the past, he works really quickly back to his feet. But against Jan, he struggled to get off the bottom. He's a solid grappler overall. He's got 3 subs. He's got really good cardio. I mean, go back to like the Ricky Simone fight. He's getting a stoppage in the 5th round. So let me go to the odds. Cejudo plus 220, Song negative 270. Wow, I thought Cejudo was going to be. I had a feeling the Song would be the favorite. I just expected to be like closer to pick him. A lot of question marks about Cejudo, obviously his age, but the guys he lost to, like I said, Sterling and Merab, not too bad. I mean, Cejudo could still be elite. Even if he loses the Song Yadong, he still could be elite. There's a clear avenue of victory for Cejudo. If he can wrestle, and he can wrestle a lot. The problem is, I don't know if he can do that for 25 minutes. Does he still have the ability to take anybody down? Yeah, I mean, he took Merab down, but can he wrestle at that level for 25 minutes? And then ultimately, I'm not sure about his durability. I've said it before, wrestling's hard. When you see guys stop wrestling as their career goes on, some of it has to do with you fall in love with your striking. But some of it's also, it is hard to wrestle. It's if you've never been in the wrestling room, there's nothing like I've been in the MMA room and I've been in the wrestling room, and the wrestling room is the hardest. And as you get older, your body starts aching. It's hard to be in that grind, to be wrestling, hitting takedowns, pummeling, all that. I don't know if he can do that. And I don't know if his body, I mean, he's had some injuries. I mean, I think he's been wrestling for, 30 years probably. How much of a wear and tear has that taken on his body? I think Song's gonna land some hard shots on the feet. He might kick the legs out, especially with that like big bladed stance. And I don't think Cejudo can take the shots anymore. I say everybody's MMA career. We were just talking about this. Me and Dan were talking about this last night on the recap show. It seems like there's a couple. You have George St. Pierre and guys and Habib and stuff. There's a couple guys who retire on top, but it's so rare. It's almost everybody's end of the career is them not being able to dodge the shots they used to be able to dodge, getting caught in the chin, and getting put out. And that's just how I see this. I think Cejudo's chin's going to get cracked. I think it's going to happen early. I'm going to say late in the first round. I'm going to say Song Yadong knocks him out in the first round. And I say, you know what? It's not really bold, but I think that's the last we see of Cejudo. I think he retires. So that's all I have it. Let's go to your picks. Let's see. Luke Wilson. I know he's a real respecter of wrestling. Luke Wilson's a guy that if you guys like talking wrestling, Luke's got a lot of knowledge in wrestling too. They said they gave Cejudo a really, really tough bounce back fight. They're talking about building Song's brand back up, trying to get a win. Yeah, get a big name. Yeah. Just and obviously the fight fell through, but I didn't understand when you had Cejudo on this card. I didn't understand why they didn't just run back to Cejudo and Dominic Cruz fight, and why would they give Dominic Cruz like font? I thought that fight would have made a lot more sense. Yeah, Luke talking about the inside trip. Yeah, I mean Cejudo's inside trip. I want to say he won the Olympics with that same move, wasn't it? Try to refresh my memory. I know he got a takedown at the very end to win the Olympics, and I think it was. I'm almost positive it was that inside trip. Dev is saying that Cejudo is more skilled, but the age difference, is big. He said it might be the biggest between ranked band. It could be, yeah. Clemens is saying Song's IQ is bad. IRF, what is my favorite flavor yogurt? I eat a lot of yogurt. Probably like a strawberry, or a blueberry. My wife buys these like little packet things that I eat them all the time. But the strawberry and I don't do the Greek yogurt. That's just gross. I probably should so I can lose some weight. I do like putting what do they call it? Like oh shoot, what is that stuff called? I can't think of it right now. Like bran and stuff, and I like eat like what do they call it? Granola. Sorry, I like to add like granola to my yoga. I think that's really good. I'm just trying to get some more comments of this. Luke Wilson saying the line is a little too wide. Yeah, I think it is a little too wide because there is an avenue of victory for Cejudo. And again, he hasn't had a bad loss. Like even his two losses, he didn't look terrible. He had I mean, Merab one looked much worse, but it was closer. But the Sterling fight was close. Griffin mentions that I'll take Dominic Cruz to talk about how bad he kicked both those guys' asses while on the broadcast. That's pretty funny. I don't know if Dominic Cruz will be on the broadcast, but that's funny. Didi says best UFC breakdown show on the web. Thank you, man. It's much better when my man Ben is here, or if Dev is filling in or Dane is filling in. Those guys do a really good job. It just flows better. But I do enjoy having the listeners getting their takes on the fight. If there's somehow we could have Ben's editing skills and cleaning up with the listeners' comments, that'd be really fun. But I mean, we do like a 3-hour show when both of us here. I can't, it'd be even longer if we had comments. But occasionally we can do this every once in a while. I'll do a live show. I do enjoy it. Rampage goes song by second round TKO. Lahi's going fourth round, so he's going a little later. Fourth round stoppage or clear unanimous decision. Gary Clemens is agreeing with Greek yogurt is trash. Eric saying, "How are you?" Yeah, you might become the official odds man. We might have to add you just to that you could pipe in and say, Eric, what's the odds? And you could drop the odds on us instead of me guessing. So, anyways, there you have it. I've broke down all 12 fights. Did I take all 12 favorites? I think I don't remember taking an underdog, which is really strange. So if that's your first time watching, I apologize. I really try not to just go straight chalk. That's kind of lazy, but I guess in this case, I may have. Ben wasn't here, so I will say this. Ben went the opposite of every pick. So he wanted to get his picks in. He messaged me. He said he picked all 12 of the opposites of me. So we don't kind of track our picks. But for this one, we should track our picks, see who does better, me or Ben. And obviously, I'm joking. That'd be Ben taking nothing but underdogs. But anyways, thank you guys so much. Make sure you guys tune in. If this is your first time, tune into the regular preview show. We'll be back this Saturday recapping all this. I really enjoy doing the recap show. It's a lot more fun. We kind of, again, a lot less formal. This is not the one that is formal, but this one is a little off the rails than we normally do. The one we normally do is a little more professional. But get out of here. The guy's is Joe. Bo Nickel's undefeated. What do you mean? Is he worth mentioning? He's undefeated. Come on. And to answer VCR Repairman, I mentioned Bo in the very, very beginning. I never miss a Bo reference. So thank you guys for listening. And make sure you tune in to the recap show. Join in. We'll get to as many comments as possible. And see you guys next time.